I play a character called David Nix, who is he's a scientist, a technocrat, um, who rises to the top of this very secret confederacy of innovators, scientists, designers, futurists, essentially, who conjure up this bold vision of the future, um, a new sort of Garden of Eden where mankind will find everlasting peace and prosperity. And as with a lot of these visions of the reinvention of human society, it, of course, reveals a darker side. Tomorrowland is a better alternative. It is a better future. It is the better future that a small number of people dared to conceive and pursued as their own private project at a time, or soon after a time, when actually private innovation was a very, very powerful force in America. You know, the Walt Disney's and Henry Ford's and so on, who were these gigantic engines of development and economic change and scientific exploration. And so this was at a time when people didn't necessarily look to the government to steer an entire nation on a national path. This was a time when a handful of very, very bright, very dedicated people could set off on these explorations. George Clooney is everything you hope George Clooney will be, plus about 10%. He's extremely funny and kind and very, very bright and very, very hardworking and, you know, considerate of everybody around him. He's, you know, he's just sort of everything you hoped he would be. Everything that you've ever heard people say about him, it's true. He is all of those things. It's sort of maddening, actually. I'm hoping to sort of trip him up in some way to find, you know, the real George Clooney. But I think we've seen the real George Clooney, and the real George Clooney is he's a gentleman. He's an absolute gentleman, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful privilege to be, you know, to see him up close and to work with him, to get a front row seat, as it were. It's been a real delight for me because the last couple of weeks that we've been doing some of the most Tomorrowland heavy stuff. I mean, the scenes actually in Tomorrowland. I finally got to see Britt doing her thing, and she's something else. I mean, she really has got an amazing. I mean, she's also incredibly bright, incredibly committed. But with a great sense of humor, very, very funny, very alive to the challenges, and, you know, prepared to try anything, and go any different way to sort of to get the best out of a moment or a scene or some part of the story. Rafi has an extraordinary quality. There's a sort of, I mean, there's a mixture of so many things. She's this very, very slight figure. She has this sort of, what they used to call elfin, I think was the word. This sort of Audrey Hepburn feel to her. And yet she's such a live wire. She's also, like Thomas, she's completely fearless. She appears to be absolutely tireless. I mean, she cannot work hard enough. Brad Bird is obviously an absolutely, I mean, remarkable filmmaker. He never made a bad film. And that's actually weird. I mean, that's really weird. The greatest filmmakers who ever lived made bad films. There's something uncanny about his art and his intellect. He's extremely bright, thinks very, very deeply about storytelling and filmmaking, and he has a sort of animator's approach to the visual, first of all, that he thinks in very, very clear images. He's not someone who is looking to sort of find the story as he goes along. I find the sets absolutely magnificent. I mean, almost overwhelmingly so. It's sort of daunting to actually think, this has all been built so that I can stand here and say the speech. And it's, you know, you're looking at essentially the, you know, Cairo has been, the equivalent of Cairo has been built behind you. It's daunting. The scale of it is absolutely magnificent. Of course, the futurist side of it, the great thing is, I mean, I'm sure every designer, whether it's costumes or hair or sets or whatever it might be, of course they thrill to the possibilities of futurist design, because they're not, you know, they're not really tied to anything. They can let themselves run free, and they do. But I think the design is absolutely spectacular.